Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. It is the 3rd of February, 2026. Bob Iger out. Other people officially in. Also, OpenAI and Bob Iger, very happy to work together. Very, very happy. Lupita Nyong'o nonsense. There's a lot of stuff going around online with that. A bit of a change here at the show in and of itself. We got a lot to talk about with that, guys. You know, look, it's Hollywood After Dark. Stuff's always going on. You know what time it is, so let's fucking go. Yeah! Yo, what's going on, everybody? How you all doing? Hope you guys are out there having yourselves a great day. It's Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday. A lot going on in Hollywood. Big change today. Obviously, Bob Iger. We knew his successor was coming. We knew that he was only stepping in a couple of years ago to just kind of like handle the transition from the disaster that was Bob Chapek, his first choice, and then leading into everything else. And it looks like they might be in some good hands now. We'll be talking about that here in a second. I wanted to touch upon a couple things here. So if you might be going like, why is this pre-recorded versus being live? Well, I can't do live every day. So I want to just kind of be honest with you guys about where I'm at. I still want to talk about this stuff. But I'm not going to be approaching it from like, a live stream preparation type stuff. You know what I mean? Like this is just me talking for about a half hour. So that's basically what this is. This is a podcast. That's all it is just a podcast. I have a little bit of a humorous break that I put together for people who are watching this on their TV. But that'll be coming here in a little bit. But largely, it's this last month, January, which is supposed to be our slow month at work. I ended up working 21 days. I ended up nearly clearing 200 hours. While still on top of that, I've been working on short story writing, as well as audio narration for that short story stuff. So if that's something you want to hear, you can hit me up privately. I'll send you a link. It's a slow rollout, private rollout, but I'm busy. But I still want to talk movies, and I've been doing more of the live stream stuff, and it's fun. But I can't do it every day. So we're going to slow it down a little bit and do these talkies. And I'll give you guys my thoughts about what's going on. That way you guys can, keep up on what I'm feeling about stuff. And then I will go live at least once a week, definitely. It's Tuesday, so I'll go live tonight. But then at the same time, I do want to do something where we bring back the kind of anonymous Google form. You guys can leave me messages, and I will answer those at the end of the week, maybe in their own little private video that you guys can get my thoughts on current things we may not get to while we're live. So that is currently where things are. I think it's a good medium, to be honest with you, because I still love the industry. There's still so many cool things to talk about, so many things to get excited about, so many things to just kind of discuss. But I have to give it to you guys in a way that's going to be the best for me and what is probably the most sustainable option for me. And so, hey, listen, that's just kind of where we are. But I will, honest to God, do my best. Okay, I will do my best to try to get timestamps and all that shit. Okay, I'm going to try. I can't promise it. I'm going to try, depending on the time that I've got, to make it organized, at least to jump to the topics you want to talk about. Okay. Like I said, there's a lot to get to today. So why don't we just, why don't we dive on in? The big story of the day, guys, is this whole thing with the new Disney succession, right? Who's going to be taking over the House of Mouse? Who's going to be leading the charge once Iger, a man who has, been with Disney for 50 years, basically, finally steps down and finally gets out of the way because, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you guys. These choices, I think, are decent, but at the same time, I'm looking at this and going how if there's another hiccup, if there is another screw up, be it the economy, be it some kind of virus, whatever, right? Is Iger going to come back at the behest of the board, and be like, all right, guys, I got to come back. I got to fix everything again. They're just never going to let him. They're just never going to let him go away. But actually, I want to kind of, let me be fair about that one there. Iger will never allow himself to go away because Iger has so much money tied up in personal shares at Disney. his value, his legacy, his net, everything is tied into that share price. So he obviously has every incentive to make it as valuable as humanly possible. And there's been some ebbing and some flowing in the last couple of years because of that. And so now what we've got is the new people, right? What's the name here? I want to make sure I got this correct. We got Josh D'Amaro, right? Is that D'Amaro? D'Amaro is named the next chief executive officer. But what I think is the most interesting thing is that Dana Walden is to become the president and chief creative officer of the Walt Disney Company. And there is actually a fair amount of that is, pretty, that's pretty interesting there, considering that Dana Walden, came on in with the 20th Century Fox acquisition, has very much, solidified her knowledge within the company, and has found herself to be a worthy employee, a good employee, and one that I think could probably really help out. Now, whether or not she's going to be, as involved with the movie side of things, I don't know. Most likely it will be her and Alan Bergman who will be kind of overseeing a lot of what Pixar is doing, what Disney Animation is doing, what Walt Disney Studios is doing. Kevin Feige, we'll talk a bit about him more here in a few minutes, but by and large, I think they're kind of they're going to probably have to just let him do his own thing. Now that that we're kind of in that weird phase of like figuring out how to best, manage the MCU, right? With Disney Plus as well as theatrical, and the inclusion of the X-Men, which again, we'll talk about that. So you've got all that, and I'm excited to see what these two do, to be fair, because right now, Iger isn't going anywhere. He's going to be staying on again until he retires, which is going to be at the end of the year. So there's like a 10.5 month window for him to kind of train and shadow both of these people. Apparently Bob Chapek had no involvement in any of this, which is fine because nobody cared what Bob Chapek had to say. So, looking here, I think it's having a split, from like the president and CEO to the, or I should say the chairman of the board, right? The chief executive officer. And then, well, not the chairman of the board. I'm mixing up my stuff here. But I honestly, I'm trying to understand this from a business perspective. I'm not that guy. I'll be fair. I'm not that guy, but I do think it's going to be interesting. Both of these people seem to be very well liked. They both seem to be, very well respected, and we'll have to wait and see how that whole thing turns out, because all things considered, what Disney needs. Let me tell you, I'm just going to tell you what I think Disney needs. This is what I'm going to say. Josh D'Amaro, what's his name again? Jesus Christ. I should know this stuff, right? Anyway, D'Amaro. D'Amaro? D'Amaro. D'Amaro. It's got to be just D'Amaro, I guess, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. Anyway, focus on getting the cost of the parks down. Okay, I can't stress that enough. This is where I'm going to go into rant mode, but this is where I can't stress this enough. The idea of having the parks be as expensive as they are, and I want to give you guys an idea about this. So, this upcoming winter, this upcoming Christmas, taking the kids on a Mexican Riviera cruise over Christmas, and we're going out of Long Beach, and so we thought, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we went to Disneyland for a day? And so we booked it a couple months ago, and I was looking up how much it would cost to go to Disneyland, right around Christmas of 2025, just to kind of get an idea for what it could be in 2026. One day, 4 park hopper tickets, $1,036. $1,036 fucking dollars for a family of 4 to go for one day. That is not only untenable, it's offensive. And that goes to show you that Disney, the parks themselves, have been doing everything they can to price out the average middle and working class people. They want you to have to take out a second or third mortgage on your house to be able to just go to the park for one damn day. And considering that we're living in an economy where the vast majority of people couldn't handle a bill that was like $400 because of how little they have in savings, this is a really, really, really bad thing. Now, granted, people will always pay it because people will always justify entertainment. But go back and look at the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel, right? Look at how much that cost and look at how fast that died. I mean, granted, that was super niche and whatever, but still, so I think anyone out there, this is what bugs me about the park lovers, the people that that talk about Disney and the parks often enough. And oftentimes those people live around there so they can get those like annual passes that are a little bit cheaper. But I never hear them talking about the average cost for the average family. What I always see is always the whole like, oh, I went and got this new plushie from this place. It just bugs me a little bit. That's all. It just bugs me because I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, you guys have the privilege of this is your job, I guess, whatever you go there, you talk about this shit, cool beans. But at the same time, it's like the average person watching you is getting FOMO. And because of that FOMO, they want to go. And they want to go, so they'll figure out a way to justify going because they watch you go and they don't want to live through you anymore. They want to go experience it on their own. And it's untenable for people who are not like part of that, direct location, right? In the direct vicinity of the park that can do this kind of stuff. I don't know. I just feel it's like maybe they'll figure out a way, but they won't. They won't. I'm not that I'm trying to be a Debbie Downer about this, but like, let's be fair here, right? Iger, his only concern is to make sure shareholders are happy. And that's why, like, the day that these two new people take over will be the day of the next earnings call with shareholders. So, they're going to hopefully use that as a way to get more investments into the company to therefore raise the price rather than lower it because of the announcement. Again, I don't know much about finance. I'm talking probably out my ass on this one, but it just, I don't know. I'm hoping it does well. Okay, I am. I'm hoping it does well, but at the same time, I don't know. I just hope they make it cheaper for families. But that's probably asking way too much because so much more money can be made by just trying to, cater to the people who are either affluent or willing to go into massive debt. Anyway, speaking of other drama, there's been a bit more information coming out now about the Netflix Warner Brothers acquisition and how that is going to be gearing up for a fight. Not only has David Ellison just in general been destroying the legacy of the Ellisons, my God, they're terrible people to begin with, make no mistake. But, like, he's out there going like getting rejected left and right by Warner Brothers. And he's traveling around the world trying to like to work with like other countries to get them to block the data, to block the transfer or the merger. And he just won't stop. But now we got a little bit more going on. You've got some, the cinema, sorry, I want to make sure I get this correct here. The Union of Theater Owners, Cinema United, previously known as NATO, not the, yeah, I know, right? You had NATO, right? The military function, and then you've got NATO, North America Theaters or Theater Owners Association, whatever. They've changed their name now to Cinema United, and they represent over 60,000 theaters globally at this point. They went to the Senate this week and they wanted to vehemently express their opposition and concerns over this acquisition, mentioning that their main concerns is that there would be fewer movies produced for theatrical exhibition, increased marketplace leverage for studios via theater owners, reduced diversity of films, and job losses across the board within the entertainment industry and are in communities worldwide, meaning fewer films means fewer jobs, means fewer money coming into these communities, obviously. Now, but they also went out there and they said that if Paramount gets them or if any other studio buys Warner Brothers, it still represents a massive risk, because then at that point, 40% roughly of the theatrical box office is in the hands of a single super studio. So it literally boils down to the idea of, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. All right. And this is what they are, this is what they are afraid of. And they did use the Disney acquisition of 20th Century Fox as a likely outcome, given the fact that Disney, has slowed down on 20th Century Studio output. But that's not to say that it doesn't happen, right? What was the number one movie over the weekend? Send Help, Disney, and 20th Century, right? What was Avatar? 20th Century, It's not like they're not putting out content, and it's not like they're not doing well in the theaters. But again, going back to my previous point, talking about, the theme parks, it's the same problem, guys. It's the same problem. It's that people can't afford to go to the theaters, so they're not going to the theaters. It's as simple as that. It's not even about the quality of the damn movie. All right. Plenty of not great films have done quite well theatrically. Okay. It's about the cost. It's about the accessibility. It's about all of those things. For example, I just want to rant about this for a second. Looking at my local movie theater, right? There's 4 films I want to see in theaters right now. Send Help, Return to Silent Hill, Iron Lung, and there's another one. Shelter? No, there's another horror film that I think is out right now. And I went looking at Send Help. I was like, all right, let me check out and see what they got. And they've got like 3D. What? Why in the fuck do I want to watch Send Help in 3D? What about that movie is in any way a thing I want to see in 3D? Oh, but I can see it in 3D D-Box. What? So not only is there the upcharge for the 3D, then if I want to get good premium seats, I got to drop another few dollars for the D-Box upgrade, because they replaced the good center seats, the better seats, with the premium experience, so to speak. And then for standard showing, there's like one, and it's in the morning. Okay, well, you know what? No, I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you. I'm not going to do that. Do I want to go see this movie in theaters? Yeah, sure. Do I want 3D to be my only option for when I can go see it in the evening? No. Is that what I'm stuck with? Yes. So I'm just not going to go. And this is where the concept of voting with my wallet comes into play. And this is where some of you out there, and I mean this like with love, I guess, need to understand that the idea here about Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers is not about lesser in the exhibition space. It's about the companies that do the exhibition space are limiting your fucking options while charging you a fucking premium, and then getting mad at you if you don't go and see the movie at their fucking location. So pardon me, spare me the nonsense of trying to fucking poo-poo all of this shit when you realize that it simply is just ridiculous to sit there and go, okay, like your options are being restricted, but yet this is the problem of Netflix buying Warner Brothers. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Look, man, I don't want theaters to go away, but I'm also not going to sit there and give them a fucking pass. I'm not going to sit there and like pat them on the butt and be like, oh, you guys are doing so well. We're going to get you back. No, make it cheaper and drop the gimmicks. Drop the fucking gimmicks. We don't need that shit. All right? Like, that's the whole damn point. Is we don't need that shit. But they still try to sell it to us, and then they wonder why people just aren't showing up. No, but I'll tell you what they will show up for the most part. And that, of course, is going to be Marvel movies. And so in a new article by Deadline, they start talking about Kevin Feige sticking around. He ain't going anywhere anytime soon. He's not stepping down like Kathleen Kennedy. He's not bailing out. He's doing this thing, which is good. He's going to stick around. He's going to make sure the X-Men come on in. That was his first thing when he was the assistant, the associate producer on the first X-Men movie, right? Having worked with Marvel on Marvel's side of things for years, helping build all that up, getting the Marvel Cinematic Universe off the ground, everything else to get it where it's at. despite all of the pitfalls that it's had, and it's had a lot. You had like Ike Perlmutter like derailing the whole TV side of things. You had COVID. You had the acquisition of 20th Century Studios. You had all that stuff, man. And it's just been like, holy crap. Disney Plus is a big one as well. But he is, he's definitely going to be sticking around, at least to get X-Men off the ground. But at that point in time, part of me feels like he should definitely look at the idea of maybe moving on, like going on and just producing something that he wants. Take a break, do something a little bit different, refresh the creative impulses a little bit. Because I've seen a lot of people look at the Doomsday stuff and the Secret War stuff, and they're just all like, bringing back Robert Downey Jr. is just blatant. Like, they're just out of ideas. They don't know what they're doing. And I disagree, actually. I think storyline-wise, it's going to be interesting. And I've been saying it forever. Joseph Quinn looks a lot like Robert Downey Jr. So having Doom be a variant of Sue Storm and Johnny Storm's dad is actually quite interesting. So we're going to have to see about that. But if I'm right, then I'm going to laugh my ass off, to be fair. But I think those are going to be the big movies of the year. That one, the Odyssey, Dune. There's going to be some big films coming out this year. But when it comes to producers, there's no one like Kevin Feige. I mean, not only is he like the greatest living producer right now, he is probably Hollywood's best producer per capita, like overall. Just for what he's been able to juggle, what he's been able to manage, what he's been able to build, and how largely he's been able to do it on his own. But when the corporate oversight comes in and problems with that start to happen, that's when he goes like, things get a little bit messy, and then he gets all the blame. But look, again, it's like J.J. Abrams once said, about shows like Lost. His name is on it. So whenever it gets the praise, he gets the praise. And whenever it gets shit on, he's the one that gets shit on. It's par for the course. But I am curious what you guys think about all that with Marvel. Kevin Feige, should he step down? What should he be doing? I do want to hear your thoughts. So we're going to take a quick break. I got some funny stuff to show you guys. A little test. And let me know if y'all like it, if we'll keep doing it. If not, that's okay. But we'll be back after the break to cover the rest of the topics.
Somewhere between late night reruns and the edge of the universe lives a channel you weren't supposed to find. What is that? Stories that bend time, shows that defy gravity, laughs from somewhere completely else, TV from another dimension.
This summer, welcome to South Jurassic Park.
Dude, that thing's like 50 feet tall. And mostly neck.
But when the power goes out,
guys?
the park's biggest attraction
that is not good.
Gets out.
We're all gonna be extinct, man.
And the only way to survive
Throw the flare! Throw the flare!
is to make a run for it.
Drive faster! His head's in the rear view, dude! I am driving faster!
From the creators of the world's most foul-mouthed town.
Hold on to your thrills.
Only in...
The doctors say you'll never walk again?
Yeah.
They forgot about the chiropractic flare!
I can walk! I can walk!
You're welcome! Ah, crap! Ah, crap! Ah, crap! Ah, crap! Ah, crap! Ah, crap! Ah, crap!
My fellow Americans, today we are taking a tremendous step into the future. A bold step. And starting right now, we are renaming the moon to Space America because it's bigger, stronger, and frankly, it just sounds better.
After 30 hours of continuous building, I finally finished my Death Star.
Well, this has been an interesting first date, but I think I'm gonna go.
Cool. May the bricks be with you.
This spring,
Welcome to South Park High.
Who are they?
the plastics.
Basically the food chain and lip gloss.
Is butter a card? Asking for science.
But when one new girl
They put me in their book.
shakes up the hierarchy,
Here we go, 1, 2, look at those biceps! Whoa, feels like a feather! You feel like a feather, don't you?
Let me down!
Not till I hit 10 reps! Who, and boom! On the ground, safe and sound! Who's next? You...
Tommy, your mom and I are getting a divorce.
Why, Daddy?
Your mom's put on a little weight since you were born, so in a funny way, it's your fault.
TV from another dimension.
You guys may not like that. I was chuckling. But it's fun. Anyway, so some stuff I slapped together. It might be a little bit long, but I thought it was entertaining. So let me know your thoughts on that, obviously. But quickly, I want to touch upon one thing that I found to be fascinating, and that is David Lynch sadly passed away last year. And a lot of his fans have been asking about this particular idea that he had for a show, like a limited series called Unrecorded Night. And it is one of those shows where he wrote like a 550-page script for this story. And they were going to chop it down into being episodic. He had initially pitched it to Netflix. They did not go for it. He went back, worked on it again, did some more rewriting on it, was going to go back and pitch it to Netflix again. Then he unfortunately passed away. His fans know about it. His producer friends have talked about it. His daughter has come out and said that it will be released as a script, but please wait for the official release to come out and don't go seek out any unauthorized bootlegs. And at that point, my whole brain just goes, you're just telling people to go and dig this stuff up. Because when it comes to a lot of the collector space online, don't get me wrong, like people like to buy the official script books and like to buy all this stuff. People also out there like to go and find the bootlegs because it feels taboo, right? It feels kind of weird. It feels off, right? It puts you in this kind of like, is it wrong space, especially when it comes to movies. How many times have we got a bootleg from somewhere? Or how many people do you know who bootleg? Or how many people do you know who have bought bootlegs? All right. Like that underground culture never goes away. Where there is a market, there is somebody who will be buying it. There was a guy that I read about in the LA Times, like all these years ago, who made like $50,000 a year hustling bootleg movies on the buses of LA. This guy would go around and he would have bootleg DVDs in his bag and he'd sell them for $5 a pop. Right? Cam copies, DVD rips, whatever the hell, man. Telecines, telesyncs, HD rips, web rips, whatever. This guy would go out there and he'd sell this. $5 a pop. And as a result, he made $50,000 a year doing it. Think about that for a second, right? Like there's money in that for one, but two, people will buy it if it's accessible to them right there. If they don't want to wait, they will go and get their hands on it. People are impatient, and that's not something that's been brought on by the streaming world. That's literally just how humans are. All right, we live in an instant gratification culture, society, whatever you want to call it. That's what we do. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think if you want to get the 550-page book, do it, man. Hell yeah. But at the same time, I don't know what's going to happen with the unauthorized stuff. But the fact that she mentioned that tells me that there might be it might already be out there, or they're afraid of it coming out beforehand. I don't know. It's a little weird, but yeah. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. Also here today marks the 40th anniversary of Pixar. Can you believe that 40 years of Pixar? That's crazy, man. That's crazy that 40 years ago the Pixar was created in the 1980s, mid-1980s, working on, if you go back and look at old Pixar, you could see, oh shit, where it came from. But, we just passed 30 years of Toy Story. Think about that. If they just turned 40 right now, that means they were in business for 9 years before they were able to get Toy Story off the ground. And now you've got Pixar pumping out 2-3 films a year sometimes. Isn't that crazy to think about? Like the technology has gotten them to that point. The technology has done all that stuff, right? It's like the thing Bob Iger was talking about. I forgot to mention this in the first bit, but the stuff Bob Iger was talking about in regards to working with OpenAI and Sora 2. By the end of this year, you're going to start seeing user-generated content on Disney Plus that is going to be generated by Sora that will be using the copyrighted IP. And you're going to see a lot of Pixar work that's going to be coming out through that as well. So that is going to be fascinating to see that 40 years ago, they started developing the technology to do something like Toy Story, which came out 30 years ago, or over 30 years ago. And then now by the end of this year, you'll be able to generate a lot of that with AI. Give it a couple years and you'll wait to see what happens with Pixar. You'll probably hear about Pixar having an entirely AI animated film. That's coming, by the way. Make no damn mistake about that one. So, all right, we gotta touch upon something that happened. It's in the thumbnail as well. It's Lupita Nyong'o. has been cast as a role. We don't know what role that is in Christopher Nolan's Odyssey that's coming out later on this summer. What some people are arguing are going to be the biggest movie of the summer. I'm sorry, Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's probably going to kick its ass. But that being said, the Odyssey it should be interesting, despite the fact that there's been quite a few of what you might call historical changes to some of the armor. And that is throwing some diehard cinephiles off, right? Some history buffs are looking at this story, and yes, it's a fable, all right? But it's based on real people, based on real events, things like that. But there was a certain look to how things were back then, and Nolan is taking a little bit of leeway with it, and that's bugging some people to the point of where it might actually start turning people off. And so someone on 4chan, I think, decided to play around with this, and so they used, I'm assuming, either Grok or probably Nano Banana, maybe, to take an image of Lupita Nyong'o from the movie 12 Years a Slave and change it into her looking like Helen of Troy, but how Lupita looked in the movie 12 Years a Slave, in which she played a slave who was being, sexually assaulted by Michael Fassbender's character. And she got beat to hell in the movie too. So it's like, it's like she's one of the most attractive women in Hollywood, like hands down. And, Helen of Troy has got like the nips that could start wars. You know what I'm saying? So to quote 10 things I hate about you when thinking about Helen of Troy, I think, does she have beer flavored nipples? It's kind of the only thing I can think about that one, but she ends up anyway, like, so people have been sharing this image around, pops up on social media, pops up on Twitter, pops up all these places. And this is Helen of Troy, first look of Helen of Troy in Odyssey. And, people are like coming out of the woodworks, doing all the racist nonsense, all that stupid bullshit, and then, so here's the thing. I actually pushed back on this. I found the original image. I created this whole post about it. I put it out there. And some of the response I got back on Facebook was just like, yeah, who cares? It's a fictional character. And I'm like, I don't think you understand like what is happening here. These people are like creating a false version. We don't even know if she's playing Helen of Troy in the movie or not. We don't know yet. There's not much that we do know about the movie specifically, but we don't know that. And it's like, but they're trying to frame it like this to say Christopher Nolan has gone woke, that he's done all this stuff, so they can create that kind of racist backlash to prime the movie for failure. And it's like, it doesn't matter how much I try to explain that. Like, there are people out there that just like don't get it. And it's one of the reasons why I claim media literacy is fucking dead, man. It's just so true. It's just so true. I don't know, just annoys the hell out of me. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of the last thing that kind of annoys the hell out of me, I got to agree with John Lithgow when he was talking about J.K. Rowling and her opinions on trans people and how he doesn't quite get it because the way he looks at it is that, he says that her views are kind of ironic and inexplicable given what Harry Potter represents, which is so true. Now, here's the kicker with that, though, right? The way that she has described certain things that are metaphors and analogies in the Harry Potter books have been met with backlash, right? Because werewolfism, lichenism, whatever, right? Padfoot is meant to be an allegory for AIDS, and so that people got real mad about that too, because it's a blood transfused disease and shit. You can't get rid of it. Right. I get what she's trying to do. She's trying to, kind of like, I guess, make it work. But the idea there's a scene in, like, I think it's maybe it's one of the earlier films where they're talking about, like, it might have been the first movie when they're all with Hagrid and they're talking about muggles and shit. And, Hermione's upset because they called her a muggle. And then Hagrid's all like, there's never been a witch or wizard hasn't been able to do spell, like, whatever. I can't do his voice, but he does all that. And he's like, you don't pay it any mind. You're great the way you are. And it's like about, loving yourself and accepting others. And that's a lot of what Harry Potter is. And then J.K. Rowling is just kind of like, I don't know. She hit that weird kind of that weird idea about trans women in sports. And look, that's a delicate subject and not one I'm looking to broach right here, but it does. I agree with Lithgow in the fact that he's saying like, this is kind of like inexplicable. He says here, I take the subject extremely seriously. She has created this amazing canon for young people, and it has jumped into the consciousness of the society. It's about good versus evil, kindness versus cruelty. I find her views ironic and inexplicable. I've never met her. She's not really involved in this production at all. I was talking about the show. But the people who are remarkable. It upsets me when people who are opposed to me having anything to do with this. But in Potter canon, you see no trace of transphobic sensitivity. She's written this mediation of kindness and acceptance. And Dumbledore is a beautiful role. It was a hard decision. It made me uncomfortable and unhappy that people insisted I walk away from the job. I chose not to do that. Now, I do respect him for that. There are a lot of people out there that are like, how the hell are you going to sit there and recreate Harry Potter? Not only from like just where like, you know, J.K. Rowling's opinions are and shit, but just in general. I mean, we have 8 really good movies, and I've been watching them with the kids recently, and they're really good. I mean, Deathly Hallows Part 2 brings me to tears. You know, like it was beautifully done. The whole thing is beautifully handcrafted. It's an amazing experience from start to finish. And I don't know if the show is going to be able to pull that off or not, but John Lithgow was absolutely correct about all that. So I don't know what that means. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what that entirely means, but I do know that, you know, what Hollywood is in a bit of a precarious place. You know, right now it's becoming faster and bigger and more automated. Audiences are becoming more nostalgic because it's an opioid. They're becoming very suspicious over a lot of what's happening because they just want to trust misinformation. They are becoming extremely tribal. I mean, more so social media has only ramped that up. And the art as a whole is really kind of caught in the middle. And that becomes kind of the interesting aspect of it, because I can't help but wonder if like the next decade is going to belong to scale or intimacy, which is such an interesting way of looking at it. You know, like we do need to see things scale for profitability, but we need intimacy in order to have that connection. You know, and when I talk about stories and when I talk about movies, when I break that stuff down, I do want to do more like that with Podio commentary. I have the other channel. This channel is just going to be for these shows and live streams. And then the Podio will be on the other channel just so I don't confuse the algorithm. Because, you know, YouTube's algorithm is fucking insane. But it is true. Like, you know, we need to have the intimacy for the connection. Right. And I think intimacy is kind of a scary word for a lot of people. But if you've listened to this long, then I've been right in your ear getting all sorts of intimate. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of where we are for today. For Hollywood After Dark, obviously, I do appreciate all you guys chilling out and hanging out with me and everything. If you have made it this far, I appreciate you. You can always support the channel by becoming a Hollywood After Dark member. I don't really know what that's going to mean right now. You can also join the Discord, take a snapshot here, the QR code, join up. I do want to spend more time in there. I also do have a Facebook group built for Hollywood After Dark. It is facebook.com/Hollywood After Dark. I'll make a graphic for that. I don't really have one right now. But yeah, so this is just kind of a, you know, a stream of consciousness stream, you know, to talk about all the stuff I want to talk about. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know your guys' opinions on it. I appreciate you all very much. You know, this is definitely not something I want to leave behind. I love talking about it. I love doing it. And you guys are the reason I'm here. Thank you all very much. Have yourself a great day. Go see a movie, like the stream. And yeah, leave a thought, leave a comment. Let me know. All right. Peace.